2 dead, 2 dead, 2 dead, 2 dead, 2 dead. By the time I finish this sentence, 20 people have died since the beginning of this video. Now. It's estimated that 2 people die every second. Tick, 2 dead. Talk, 2 dead. In a minute, roughly 100 people have died, and I'll stick with that guess because 100 is a great number to work with. According to the CIA World Factbook, only 33.35% of the human population, slightly more than a third, is Christian. Other sources claim similar numbers. The highest I've seen is 35%, and the lowest I've seen is 28%. So I'll stick with 1/3 of humanity is Christian. That means that in the first minute of this video, 77 people have died and are now just starting an everlasting torment in hell. 1 billion years from now, they won't be any closer to getting out of hell than this very minute. According to the Joshua Project, an evangelical Christian group that takes spreading the Christian meme very seriously, 42% of the world's population has never been told about the Bible, Jesus, salvation, everything else that Christianity entails. So it's been a minute, 100 people have died, and we've got 3 groups. We've got the 33 Christians that went to heaven. We've got 25 people like me who have at least heard about Christianity on the periphery of their lives but rejected it and are now bound to be tortured forever in hell. And then we've got 42 people, the majority, who have no idea what's going on. The last thing they see is a road paved with good intentions, and then boom! It's a burning lake of fire. Or whatever hell is supposed to be these days. This video is about information and God's inability to spread it. He's really bad at it. God has proven himself incapable of informing humanity of his laws. It's been 12,000 years, and he still hasn't gotten his message spread to every human being that exists. I don't know how he managed to screw it up so badly, because if we take the Bible seriously, then he did this to himself. Back when Adam and Eve existed, 100% of humanity believed in him. Or more recently, after God murdered everyone except for Noah and his family, 100% of humanity believed in God. It wasn't until God became scared of a tower that he scattered humanity about the face of the earth and other religions popped up everywhere. Had they stayed localized, I'm sure that 100% of humanity would have believed in him to this very day. But listen to me, I sound like I'm taking this crazy fairy tale seriously. It's been almost 2,000 years since his son Jesus has died, and the message still hasn't reached everyone. God is damning people for laws they do not know. Today, 42% of the world's population does not know that if they believe that God sacrificed himself to appease himself for the laws that he himself made, they'll go spend eternity in paradise. Before that, billions died and presumably went to hell because they didn't know that if they murdered a female goat, lamb, dove, pigeon, or sacrificed an ephah of fine flour, that they would have been saved from eternal damnation. God's either powerless to spread his message, far too stupid to spread his message, or he doesn't care about the billions, if not trillions of human souls that will occupy the lake of fire for all eternity. You can take your pick, but there is not a fourth option that leaves him as an all-loving, all-powerful, all-knowing deity. The stakes are also very high. According to the most famous chapter of the Bible, John 3, you have to believe in God or else you don't get everlasting life, which has evolved into a euphemism for, you go to hell. What are we to think of an all-powerful being that creates this kind of punishment system and then hid from all humanity only to let an isolated desert people know of his existence, hoping that they'd spread the word? Is he impotent, stupid, or cruel? Any of these reasons is enough to not worship him. I'm still waiting on him to give me the information I need to believe in him. How bad is God at spreading his word? My first thought is to say that before all the electoral votes were counted, I and millions of other Americans and citizens of other countries knew that Barack Obama won the presidency of the United States for 2008 through 2012. Of course, I don't have any numbers to show how fast that spread, but 4 years later, word has gotten around and there are billions of people who know who Barack Obama is. 4 years. The Christian God's supposedly been around for at least as long as the world's been around, 6,000 to 12,000 years. If you take the book literally, I'll go with 12. 42% of the world's population have never heard of him. We also don't have any questions about whether Barack Obama is real or not. When he wants to let us know what he's saying in a speech, we hear exactly what he says, and the message isn't corrupted along the way. Until Fox News puts in their misleading edits. Meanwhile, there are 30,000 denominations of Christianity, so something in the message must have gone wrong if there are over 30,000 interpretations of the Bible. We have dozens of Gospels written at the same time as Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John that didn't make the cut, so as early as 100 years after the fact, the Christians could not agree on what was true and what was not. They simply declared everyone that didn't go along with today's version of the Bible as heretics. We also don't wonder if Barack Obama and Joe Biden are somehow the same person, but theologians are still debating if God, the Holy Spirit, and Jesus are the same thing or not. Let's look at something with numbers. Let's see who's better at spreading an idea, God or Judson Lapley. You might remember Judson. He's this guy. Yeah, the evolution of dance guy. Do you see that number in the bottom right? That's how many views this video has. 190.5 million. Let's just say that there was one person watching per view. Although I know that this is shown to groups, has been shown on television, mirrored extensively, etc., I'm willing to go with this exceedingly low estimate that only 190 million people have seen this. See that number in the bottom left? That's the date, about 6 years ago. So, in 6 years, Judson has spread his evolution of dance idea to 3% of the world's population. No one doubts his existence, but if you doubt, you can go to his website at mightасwelldance.com and hire him. He did all of this without omniscience, without creating the entire world, without being omnipresent, without superpowers, without disciples, without crusades, without an inquisition, without a concentrated evangelical method, without a great commission. Basically, he did this without even trying. Now let's look at God's numbers. Well, God has a few more people that know about him. He's at about 2.2 billion. But he's been at this gig for 12,000 years. That's way more than Judson's 6 years. That's 2,000 times longer. If you can expect the same growth that Judson has had from his video, from his upload until now, then he would have, hold on, my computer just went to scientific notation to express this accurately, 381 billion views after 12,000 years. That's right, at Judson's rate of growth, the human population needs to be 63 times larger in order to account for all of the views he's going to get. So in 12,000 years, God is sitting at 33% of the world's population, and Judson is sitting at 6,300%. If you want to move the goalpost and say that God has only been spreading his message of salvation through the belief of Jesus for 2,000 years, you first have to acknowledge that God is screwing over everyone that's lived and died in the BC part of the timeline. But if you still want to move the goalpost and compare the effectiveness of Jesus' Great Commission for the past 2,000 years and how quickly the evolution of dance has spreaded, then the numbers look like this. Yup, we're still at 33% for Jesus, and we're at 1,000% for the evolution of dance. If you do the math, at Judson's current rate, it only takes him 38 years to reach one view for every human out there. So, is Judson more powerful than God? Smarter than God? Does he care more about spreading the evolution of dance than God does about saving souls? Or, perhaps, is YouTube more powerful than God?